To a so-called convenience store isn't actually very convenient.
True. But now, Grubhub delivers from local convenience stores.
Wait, really? What about snacks?
Grubhub.
Drink.
Convenience store.
Delivery.
Miguel and Holly
The Queen City's new morning show.
on Hits 96.1.
Charlie, my name is Miguel. This is Holly from Hits 96.1 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank
Hello.
you so much for with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
But Miguel, before you don't even realize this, but right before you hopped on with us, Charlie was actually like literally working on stuff for getting up in preparation for the new album.
Yeah, I can't seem to ever stop working, even when I'm working on in a promo like world. I'm still
working.
I'm still working because you never know when inspiration will strike you.
Well, that's good. And you got to take advantage of it. My question is, speaking of like you always working and you having all of this, drive to get stuff done, because I mean, obviously, like I followed along on TikTok about like the coming together of left and right, but how long did it actually take for you to conceptualize that?
I'd say it took the same amount of time that it takes for me to conceptualize any song of mine. On camera or off camera. Once I had that concept, the melody just flew into my head. I've always been fascinated with taking what the lyrics are and actually panning them from the left and to the right. And I've always wanted an excuse to do that. So this was the perfect song to do that.
It was about time because I love how it goes. I mean, it's just it's sonically so fun. And so I thought maybe that was like a longer concept. But if you've been wanting to do something like that, what a perfect opportunity to do it.
Well, panning has always been really interesting in music. If you think about, I mean, you listen to, this is random, if you listen to a record like Hella Good and Gwen is, Pharrell told Gwen to breathe from the left speaker to the right speaker, and it's like a Doppel effect. And then the Beatles would have music on the left side of the speaker, and then Paul would be singing on the right side of the speaker. That was due to the limitations of recording at the time. But might as well, it kind of tickles the brain, as the kids say.
I'm so curious. So like Charlie, as people that puts on a radio show, like I'm always thinking of like, what's the next great topic? Like, what's a fun story if I'm at Target? So like, what's a day like for you where you think of like great stuff? Like when you're just waking up, what does Charlie Puth do all the way to like the end of the night? What does that day look like? And how do you pick those moments and say, ooh, that could be like a really great beginning of a new song?
I have to be at the place where I know where I'll listen to the finished product. So that's why I always put on music when I'm in the shower or when I'm driving, and no surprise to anyone, come up with my best stuff when my mind is relaxed, and those are two places where my mind is usually the most relaxed. So when I'm driving on PCH or wherever, or even on airplanes, I'll just think about what music can be made that people are going to be listening to where I'm currently at. And that's so it's really a people thing. I kind of take myself out of the equation.
Mind-blowing. You're plotting what we all will be like, listening to in the next 6 months to a year. And it's so forward thinking. I guess this is a question for you and just the music industry at whole. How do you know that you're coming up with something that is uniquely you and not something that's been done before?
I mean, there's only 12 notes in the scale. Right. You're eventually going to happen across something that someone else has written before. But some of the greatest music, I think, is recycled and taken from. I mean, there's countless examples of that. But inspiration is mostly drawn from music that's been made of the past. And how many times has that snare drum in Kiss by Prince been used? It's been used on every Doja Cat song, every dance record. It's a classic Lynn drum. That's just on a sonic level. But on the songwriting level, I'm not ever listening to music to what can I rip off today, but just listening to an old James Brown record or James Taylor record, two completely different artists, maybe figuring out how I can compile their musical stylings together and what feeling that would give a person.
That's so fascinating. So like when you are just driving around, what do you put on to listen to? Like, are you listening to other artists? Are you listening to your music? Are you listening to podcasts to sort of distract for a little bit?
If I need to, I really listen to I listen to a lot of top 40, not to like if I'm listening to the new Nicki record, I'm not listening to it to think about, oh, what ways can I steal from this, or how can I make a record like this? I'm picturing people listening to this record on a Saturday night and what they're going to be doing to that record. I think in my head, I have an idea of what they'll be doing to it. And maybe one of those things is moving their bodies, and how can I do the same thing, maybe in a completely different way, but at the same tempo.
I love that. Now,
Yeah.
I'm curious, Charlie. So I'm a gay man, and a lot of my friends, I'll look at their Instagrams, and let's be honest, sometimes you post some thirst traps.
Oh yeah.
Thirst traps.
You got right to it. Well, I will say training for whatever reason, training in Los Angeles is really expensive nowadays. And I'm not keeping all of the 6 days that I'm miserably pushing weight all to myself. Sometimes, I'm inevitably naked once or twice in the day, and I just like happen to have, like all of us, my phone glued to my hand, and I'm like, you know what? Save for myself, or maybe I'll share the progress a little bit.
Maybe drop a crumb. I mean, you're doing people a favor. You're helping people get inspiration, which is you're like you're causing inspiration both through your music and through your fitness.
Well, check it out. Like, I was the band geek in high school, and I think you were as well.
Absolutely.
I think all of us have some sort of innate geekiness within us, but mine and maybe yours was just spilling over in the cup. And I just want to prove that you can be a dork like I so openly am, and love your body and yourself, and celebrate that. And that can go in conjunction with talking about what note is that truck horn or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I would just like to say thank you. I just wanted to say thank you.
You crafted this entire interview just to thank Charlie Puth for his thirst traps. Master. You're the master. I didn't even see you coming.
Oh, I'll keep it up.
Thank you. I had to get that in there. Okay, but now we've got to talk about, though, your album coming up. We are like waiting for it to come. Yeah. What are we expecting from this? What do we get?
Kind of like what I said before about that random example of James Brown and James Taylor, two completely different artists. Like in my head, like if they were to collaborate on a song, and if I were producing it, it would sound like this in my head, and I can only hear what that sounds like. I just did that 12 times for each song. I took two completely opposite feelings. What a song on the radio in 2005 would sound like and driving around Laguna Beach in your Lexus convertible or something.
That's very specific.
And very specific things, and combining it with a piano song. What would that sound like if you put two completely opposite things together? What song would come out as a result of that? I just did that 12 times. Light Switch, for example, is a song that's almost like too fast. You have records like Aha, Take On Me, and The Weeknd, and those are up-tempo records, but I thought I was listening to Megadeth and some old Metallica records I don't like to say old because I was born in the 90s, but I think like records that came out in like 92, and records that all like and System of a Down, like Chop Suey, where the records were almost like too fast. And yes. I thought, okay, why aren't there like almost quote unquote too fast records on pop radio? right now. What would that sound like? And just mix it with the stuff that I usually do, which is utilizing all of these synths behind me. So really fast plus what I usually do equals light switch. Beatles panning left and right due to recording capabilities of the time, plus my humor equals left and right. I just did that. What's 10 plus 2? 12. 10 more times after that fact.
Good on math, but
Yeah.
yes, I
Sure.
think that's really cool.
Thank you. It's like there's a little bit of humor and theatrics sprinkled throughout the album, but on a more basic answer would be that this is some of my most personal work, and I've never fully really opened up in my music the way that I've opened up on this album. So that's both scary and exciting at the same time, because people seem to be resonating with it more than ever.
And are you nervous? Like, as we approach October 7th, it's like birthing a baby, right? You're like,
Yeah.
this is mine right now, and it's just me. But like, it's about to be everybody's. Does it make you nervous? Or like you said, nervous and excited, I guess, but.
More like excited. It's the same exact feeling I feel right before I go on stage. I'm not nervous to perform in front of people, but I'm anxious to just get on stage and do it. And I want people, musicians and all non-musicians alike, to listen to this record and want to make their own record, or if they don't make music, make something that is personal to them in some sort of artistic field, and that can be maybe duplicated and recycled like great music is made.
Here's to the birth of inspiration from your album. That's great.
That's all I care about. And the fact that I get to tour on this and hear left and right on the radio, that's just cherry on top.
What does that look like when the album, is released at midnight on all the platforms and everything? Like, do you stay up and do you secretly like stalk Twitter and Instagram, or do you just, close yourself away for a day and put your phone down and just wait to hear everything? What does that look like in Charlie Puth's world? Well,
I think pointing back to your last question about my supposed thirst traps on Twitter, I'm pretty open about being on Twitter, so I'll be looking viciously as to what everybody thinks. I don't look at reviews, but I look at what my fans are saying about the record. And by the way, I want people to have a good and bad reaction. As if they have a meh reaction, that's what knife to stomach. That's what kills the most.
You want them to feel something.
Yeah, I want them to hate it, or I want them to love it. I don't want them to be like, I could live without it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you filter like the negative comments or just the people. Well, obviously there's people that are just going to be trolls, but do you filter the people that are like, man, I love you, Charlie Puth. This album is not doing it for me.
Yeah, bring on every reaction, because I got a reaction out of you. I took time. I have a portion of your mind right now, and either you'll never listen to it again, and I've had it for like a little bit of a second, or it's enabling you to wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m. and download that drum pack and make your own beat, or if you've never even made anything before.
Well, we are so excited to hear your experience. The album, sure, it's all going to be great. Can't wait to experience more third tracks leading up to it. Thank you for what you put out into the world. We appreciate it.
We all do.
I appreciate both of you very much. Thank you for the nice questions.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. I love that shirt. It's very good.